Hello, welcome. About 6 months ago I posted a video on all the mods I made to the WR to get it adventure trip ready. And one of the mods I made was mounting a USB port right up here so that I could charge my phone or my GPS or my GoPro. This is the USB port that I bought. This is the USB side and this is just a little pigtail. But when I mounted it, I cut this pigtail and then I soldered some rings to it so that I could wire it directly to the battery. I knew that there would probably be a little bit of a draw when the bike was off, but I keep the bike on a charger, so I thought the charger would be able to keep up. However, I came out here the other day to start it and the battery was dead. And I ran some tests on it and the battery was bad. My first thought was I need to mount a switch on the USB port. I have two problems with that though. One is I don't really have a good place to mount the switch. Number two is I'm afraid that I would forget to turn it off, which wouldn't help me a lot. So what I've decided to do is I got another one of these USB ports and I'm going to leave the pigtail on it and use that in conjunction with my charger. Here's my charger. It comes in two parts. This part right here mounts permanently to the bike and is wired directly to the battery, and it has this little pigtail on it, and I just need to leave that where I can get to it easily. This is the charger itself. It also has a pigtail on it. So when the bike's in the garage and I'm charging it, I would plug the charger into this pigtail and the battery will charge. When I'm riding, I'll unplug that obviously, and then I will plug the USB port into this little pigtail, and that'll send juice from the battery up to the USB. I've already taken the old battery out and I've stripped the old USB port off. Now I'm going to show you everything you have to do to remount those the way I had it before, but instead of directly wired to the battery with the pigtail. Here are the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a socket driver with a 10mm socket. Actually, to take the seat off, you're going to need an 8mm socket, but I stripped those bolts, and when I replaced them I had to use a 10mm socket. So if you have the stock bolts underneath here that hold the seat on, you're going to have to use an 8mm socket. You'll need 10 for the other bolts. You're also going to need a 5mm hex key. This does most of the work to take the things off that you need. You need a Phillips screwdriver, more than likely, to mount your battery. And you're going to need a host of zip ties. Alright, I'm going to bring it a little closer. First thing we're going to do is take this panel off. Okay, taking this panel off is really simple. There's one bolt down here. It's a 5mm hex head that you need, so you just stick it in there. Take this bolt out, and then just very gently, there's a latch behind this. You just very gently kind of pull on that and slide the panel down at the same time, and it comes off, and that exposes the battery tray and the battery cables. I'm going to go ahead and take everything apart that needs to come apart, and then we'll start installing stuff. So next we need to take the seat off. Up under the fender well here there are two, like I said, on my bike they're 10mm bolts. I think on the stock bike they're 8mm bolts, but there's two of them up under here. You just take those two out and then the seat will slide off. So I'm going to do that right quick like. Once the bolts are removed, you just kind of grab the seat right here and lift up and slide back, and it comes off. So I'm going to set this to the side. Now we've got to take the panel on this side off, and again it's just a 5mm hex key. There's one bolt holding it on right here, so go ahead and take that off, and same thing, you kind of pull right here and slide down and it comes right off. The reason we need to take this panel off is because we're going to eventually have to loosen this panel here with this nut. Take this nut out here to loosen this panel, because the gas tank's going to have to move over a little bit to be able to run the wires. Okay, this might be kind of a tough shot to get, but this is on the left side of the bike. We need to remove this black panel right here. It's held on by two bolts, hex head bolts, the 5mm hex head. One up here and then one all the way down here. So all we have to do is remove those two bolts. Once the bolts are removed, then this panel just pulls away. It doesn't come completely off, or you don't have to take it completely off. We just need it out of the way so that we can remove this panel. Alright, the next step is to remove these two 10mm bolts. These basically let these panels come off. We don't need to take this panel completely off. We just need to be able to push it over a little bit. This one does need to come completely off so we can run the wires down in behind here. Once these two bolts are off, like I said, we can just leave that there. Eventually we're going to push it over a little bit. This one has kind of a latch back behind here, so you want to gently pull that out, and then the whole panel comes off. And now you can see we've got a lot of this is exposed, but the wires run under the gas tank under here. So now I need to take the 5mm hex head and take these two bolts out, and there's one more up here just above the gas cap, and then the whole gas can move over a little bit and we can see all the wiring and we can run it. Here's my 5mm hex head. I'm going to take this bolt out here, and then this one, then the one up here at the top. And then this panel is still mounted up at the front. It's got a little latch right here. All I got to do is push, and you can see it comes off. And now the whole gas tank will move over a little bit. And that's really about all I need, just to move it about that much so I can run the wires down in here. This is the USB port. If I open up this little lid right here, you'll see there are the two ports. And it comes inside this little mounting bracket housing thing. I don't need that, so I'm going to remove that, pull the USB port out of that. Basically I can just toss this, we'll keep this. Now I'm going to run the wiring underneath the tank so we can see how that's done. If you look right here, right next to the ignition, just to the left of the ignition on this bike, there's a little opening where all these wires are going down through. This USB, if we feed the wire down through here first, fits perfectly in this little opening. Let me show you. Feed the wire down through there. It fits very securely, and all you have to do is pull up on the little lid when you need it, and then just put the lid back down. It stays in there nice and secure. Right now I'm just going to leave that like it is. I'm not going to run the wires completely yet, because first I want to mount the battery and the charger. Alright, now it's time to mount the battery, so I'm just going to slide it in here. Hold it right there. This is the bike positive, this is the bike negative, and I also need to, at the same time, mount the charger cables as well. So here's the negative, here's the positive. So I'm going to do the positive first. Now I'm going to mount the negative. I'll put the battery all the way in and secure it with this rubber strap. Now what I've got to do is take the pigtail and run it back behind the frame just a little bit, because I want to leave it right here so that I have it easily accessible to plug in either the USB or the battery charger. But once I get it positioned, I'll take a few zip ties and secure it in place. Now that I've got the battery charger pigtail secured, I need to go ahead and run the pigtail for the USB all the way down to that to the battery. So first I'll run it through this little kind of wire cage right here. Feed it through there. And then here's where I've got to move the gas tank out of the way and just kind of work my way down through here and find whatever little cracks and openings I can to get it all the way back to here. Okay, I've got it all run. This is the USB pigtail, this is the charger pigtail. As you can see, I can just put that on there, and now the USB port has power, and when I'm done I can disconnect it and plug this into the battery charger, and it's all good. So I'm going to put everything back together, and then we'll do a quick test just to make sure the USB port is working, and that'll wrap it up. Alright, I got the bike completely put back together. I've got my phone charger plugged into my USB. Let's see what happens when I plug this into the phone. And there we go. I'm charging. So got it all hooked up, and now I can easily disconnect it. So I'm good to go.